Call this regular meeting of the Village of Bremerton to order at 7:30 on July the 9th, 2018 at the Bremerton Community Center. We usually have a pastor for prayer, but tonight Councilor Sturgeon is offered to do it.
Let us pray. Lord, we're so thankful, Lord God, that we live in the country that we do. And Lord God, we are very blessed that, Lord, that you have your blessings upon us, yes, dear Lord God. We're thankful that your word tells us that all authority under heaven is in your control, Lord. And we're thankful, Lord, to be appointed to do what's best in your people's sight, Lord God. And pray that you have your hands upon us. Grant us wisdom as you did with King Solomon, Lord God. And ask in Jesus' wonderful name.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have all spoke of when is summer coming and the warmer weather. Well, we found out last week when temperatures reached 32 degrees. Quite unusual for the Queen of the Fundy Isles. What a great Canada Day celebration. The office staff and volunteers and sponsors outdid themselves this year. From the breakfast put on by the Seal Cove Baptist Church, I was informed that there's possibly over 175 people served. The flag raising was terrific. Corporal Pomeroy arranged for us to have an RCMP there, which was very, very good. Our MLA was there, but he was a bit late, so he was penalized by leading us with the singing of O Canada. We didn't think that he was capable of doing that, but I think probably it was the best voice there. And Pastor Muskomsky had prayer, so probably his voice would have been a little better than our MLA's, but the activities on the Seal Cove Sand Beach were terrific and attended by a large crowd. The vendors were great, and the biggest crowd ever for the Greasy Pole contest with many contestants. Next year, the drawbridge should be closed to traffic after the vendors arrive. Exercise is good for your health, and that little short walk would help most people. I know we do have some that do need assistance, but that would be welcome. But people driving just back and forth there to see what was going on rather than getting out of the vehicle. So please don't cross the bridge when activities are going on. Be considerate of those other people and leave your pets at home. There were dogs growling and barking and beginning to fight. They were doing their thing on the beach, but nobody was cleaning it up. And the kids were playing. It was not a very good atmosphere. So let's, I know what it's like to have a pet. I've had pets and I really loved them, but I didn't consider that that was a place for them in where there was a lot of people and children concerned. Okay, then. Disclosure of conflict of interest. Number 5 is the adoption of the minutes of June the 4th, 2018.
Mr. Mayor, I'll adopt those minutes as circulated.
Heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Moses. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Cheney. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Additions to the agenda. We have the Village of Bremerton Planning Advisory Committee bylaw. And we have a new business, a comedy night at Bremerton High School.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to adopt those two items to the agenda.
You heard the motion by Councilor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Cheney. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Motion carried. So, they're both under new business. So there would be 10.2 and 10.3. The next item is the RCMP report, and we have Corporal Pomeroy here to do that.
Mayor and Council, good evening. As Mayor Green said, Corporal Terry Palmer is my name, those who I haven't met before. We are reporting on the month of June 2018, and I've read through our statistics thoroughly, and it's, I think, pretty typical. We've had calls for 18 reports of criminal code offenses, 2 federal statute calls, both drug-related, one for production of marijuana, one for trafficking in other substances, which were investigated. 34 other statutes or legislation, be it Missing People, Mental Health Act, false alarms, crime prevention, items lost and found, etc. Nothing outstanding there. In the month of June, we issued 25 tickets for traffic-related offenses and a number of warnings. 3 traffic collisions, and it says there are 7 check stops, and that's like a checkpoint, I guess, when the police are on the road and stopping any vehicles coming through. It says 7, but I'm guessing we're missing the stats on that because we're out doing checkpoints almost daily. So I'll look into that for next month. Nothing crazy. We had a theft of a vehicle in June, which is unusual. It was located and 2 gentlemen were arrested and are now serving time for that. Outside of that, pretty typical month, I believe. Any report or questions on the stats?
Any questions for Corporal Pomeroy?
Perhaps you can't elaborate, but I'll ask. The Firearms Act 1, would that be in conjunction with the wildlife people, or is that other than that?
Let's just find out. So I don't recall what the details were on that. Of course, it's going to be on the last page. All right, what do we got here? It was report of gunshots, but I'm guessing it was fireworks, what it turned out to be. So yeah, it would fall under an investigation in the Firearms Act, but it was very minimal. The only other thing I have to report is Constable Chris Stoddard. This is his last week on the island. He'll be departing next Sunday, I believe. There will be a replacement, temporary replacement for him, who will be here until, I believe, his home sells and he can move in permanently. But he will be working here full time. And then new news, I believe Constable Matt Painter is also going to be leaving the island now. And I think he got the transfer that he was looking for. And his replacement will be here prior to his departure. So I believe we'll be continuing to be at full strength and moving forward.
So the Corporal Morrissey is due back when?
October 13th, I believe.
So you're hopefully...
I am hopefully. So I'm tentative date for me is August 31st, and I don't know what the plan is after that exactly. I suspect they may ask me to extend until Corporal Morrissey's back. I would hope so.
Well, I think we would too. I've noticed a lot better police presence, and it probably because they could have been short-handed.
Right.
And,
Yep.
but it seems to be. a lot of unexpected times too.
Right. No, it's working well right now, so hopefully they'll keep me here right until October 13th, but we'll see. I can't speak for management on that.
No, that would be good.
Thank you,
Okay.
guys.
Thank you. Under old business, Stanley Beach erosion, Councilor Cheney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. June 18th, Monday, June 18th, a little overcast and rain, but Donald Kilborn from Eastern Charlotte County Waterways was here for the weekend. He met with Rob and I on that Monday morning at 9 o'clock. Stanley Beach, 9 o'clock. We walked the eroded beach area, the beach line, which extends from on the south end to the riprap. You see this brought in to create a little roadway up to the back of the, or the front, depending on the water side of the Royal Estates for when they put a septic field in. And from there to the northern, to where the Stanley Beach now, the Stanley Brook now enters the Stanley Beach. We took some photos and it was starting to rain. We had a discussion, a short discussion, but he said he would take and contact some consultants who would be interested in this type of work and get back to us, and then we could go from there as to look for funding. So further to that, we got an email from Don on July the 6th, Friday, and he just says this: "Hello Rob, we have completed a list of potential contractors and are about to begin the process of getting quotes to have the work completed. We'll use those quotes to guide us through the acquisition of funding. I've attached a list of contractors for your interest. Have a great weekend. Cheers, Donald." It's his hope that once we get the consultants who would be interested in working on this project for Grand Am, and he thought there would be as well, those who would like to come and assist us on this, then to proceed with funding from government sources. So he's produced a couple of pages of consultants, and anywhere from the Maine Coastal Protection, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Northern Region Council, Northeast, Maine Department of Environment, Rhode Island Management Council. It seems that the Shoreline Coast Establishment and Reinstatement is big in New England, but we also have firms in Nova Scotia, Helping Nature Heal and Ecology Action Center. So he's going to consult with these people, get information. If they're not interested in coming in here to view, to at least where we could go. Once he has a plan on that, he'll inform us, and then we'll discuss that and see what he can get for funding to help us with this erosion problem. So that's my report. Anything else to add, CAO McPherson?
No, that's the capsule what was there, what he had to say, and it's not new to him.
Right. It's more than just putting riprap and stone up. It's a matter of bringing in grasses, barriers which would hold those grasses, and a combination of different materials to make it pleasant but yet protective. We'll just have to wait and see what he gets back from the consultants who want to work on this job.
Any questions?
I have a couple for Councilor Cheney, Mr. Mayor. First off, any idea how much these consultant fees would be? And I assume that we would probably consult the Canadian people, because, I mean, what their regulations is to the northeast of the U.S. versus ours must be totally different, I assume. And also, who would be responsible for this consultant fee?
On your first point, I think he was looking at to the people to the south as to their expertise and what they've done, and if they can direct him in further. And from my understanding, the consultant's fee and the construction, he's going to try to obtain funds through government agencies for erosion. Now, that's what I was led to believe.
So I'm a little confused here. So do you mean that the consultant fee was paid for by various government agencies as well?
I haven't heard anything different. Well, maybe Rod can clarify that, but there's no mention of fees at this time.
Convinced that comes together because erosion, the sea, shore and everything, it's, now is the time.
Okay.
And there's quite a bit of money out there, if you know where to go get it.
Okay. And these people would know where to get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Cheney. 8.2 is Shorecrest Lodge expropriation, CAO McPherson.
On the last meeting, we had expropriation for Shorecrest Lodge, and instructions for me was to try out or explore a little bit and see what is involved for the municipality to enter into expropriation of property. If you ever had a chat with Joel, when entertaining, everything's easy. So anyway, the village has the authority to expropriate. However, is it in the public interest to expropriate public or private land? At the time that we said the Shorecrest Lodge can't find the owner. However, since our last meeting, the mortgage has been cleaned up, and on the 14th of June, so there's an owner out there somewhere. I have talked to the province, so they phoned me, and I think we may have had a little bit of do with it. They're pursuing it quite, I don't know what the word would be, but they're at it, trying to find out who to serve the notice on. The investigation they had before was just up to the point where they had to find a person that they could say, okay, we've got 30 days to clean it up. And if not, then we do it, and the lien and all that stuff goes on. So if that's the case we are now, would it be in the public interest to expropriate it? And the assessed value is not what you have to pay for, it's what the public, you know, what he could sell it for. That piece of property up there, the assessed property or value is $25,000. It's probably twice or three times that. If you went through the expropriation process, and quite often the judge would say you probably have to have 10 or 15% of that for the inconvenience of the people that own the property. Joel says easy. Reading through the act, there's lots of things to be done. I don't know under the circumstances we are now, the debate would be whether it would be in the public interest to go after the property.
In talking to our MLA, I had a couple of calls late last week, and he is pressuring the provincial government to get it cleaned up. So it'd be a good idea to wait 30 days to see if any progress is being made.
But we now have this, Rob said, we now have someone to track down, in theory.
Yeah, in theory.
In theory.
It's still a numbered company.
Yes.
They're up there at Shorecrest in the trailer. people I've been talking to wasn't up to Rick's standard in the government. This was a long ways up the pecking order that they want to get it done. And their saying was, we didn't know, as I told you, they
Yes.
couldn't find out who to serve the notice on. Now they do.
Excuse me. I'll make a motion pending the government's actions to address the cleanup of the property. I'd table this to our next June meeting and address it again at that time. I'm sorry, June, August. I have time flies.
I thought I was the only one directed there.
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Moses. Do we have a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second that, you know, too.
Seconded by Councillor Cheney. Question?
Mr. Mayor, yes, there is a fifth wheel trailer there now, and there's people are, I believe, living there, either during the week or the weekends. There's been an attempt to bring a mower down through the property to cut some grass, but it really hasn't improved too much. Have you had any conversations with the people who are there in the trailer now, residents? Are they?
I think Esme and Alyssa,
They were in for an electrical waiver.
and I talked to the female that was here, and said, if there's any plans out there, whatever, and that shut me right off. You gotta go talk to my husband.
I was just wondering if there's been any progress by the present.
They did have a tractor in their small tractor, but the tractor wasn't big enough to do.
No,
do
if
the
they're
job.
trying to take and make plans to clean it up on, without being pushed to it.
But with the mess that's there, you also need a truck to haul it away.
Oh, yes.
It's gotta go to Lawrence Station, we can't accept it.
Okay. Yeah. Contamination.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I have a question for Deputy Mayor Moses. So you'd like to table it for another month, and that's kind of along the lines that we're talking about here. So what if no progress is being made in August, what would be your leanings then, if I may ask? If you know what I'm saying?
CAO has talked to our legal, and you know where we stand there. We heard the province is looking at cleanup. I'd like to see that flow through
Sure.
and make a decision following that.
Okay.
But this is the first time that higher-ups in government has been involved.
Yes.
So give them a little bit of a chance to see if they can't get it done. If they can't, proceed in another direction, but give them a chance to make an effort.
You know, Mr. Mayor, personally, I believe appropriation is appropriate in some cases, and but I think it's always something to almost as a last resort. But on the other hand, if the threat of expropriation makes things move along faster, I wouldn't be objective to that either. So.
Well, you mentioned last resort. It's been, what, 3 years?
Oh, yes, absolutely, but we've been making somewhat of a leeway, I guess.
Just recently we have.
Yeah, most recently, very recent. Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we have a 10-minute open session. 10 is two business. 10-1 is a presentation from Thrifty's Executive, construction of a storage building at the Castelia Hall.
Good evening, and we want to thank you for this opportunity to be here to share our hearts. But before we do that, we really want to take this opportunity, which we don't often have, to acknowledge your generosity to Action Ministries since Thrifties began in January of 2010. And because of your generosity, we're able to put all that we make from our sales into ministry needs on this island. And we don't take that for granted. That's huge to us, and we greatly appreciate it. And many times people come into the store and say to us, how do you keep your prices so low? And the thrift stores in the mainland, their prices are higher. And we are quick to tell them that we have a village that supports us wholeheartedly, and that if it weren't for that, we couldn't keep those prices low. So we thank you, and we don't take it for granted. Now, Thrifties began in January of 2010, and I believe that only God knew at that time how it was going to grow and become what it is on our island today. And I won't go there and talk about that because we'd be here all night. But nearly every day we are amazed and often overwhelmed by both the quantity and the quality of the donations that we receive. It is all good. And all of it, from the small bags of donations to the truckloads, are greatly appreciated, and it keeps us going. But it has brought to us a challenging situation. Every day that we're open, several volunteers pack seasonal items in tote tubs to be used for inventory changeovers throughout the year. And that happens about 8 times a year. There can be upwards to 6 or 8 tote tubs full of clothing, as well as other items such as Christmas trees, large toys, skis, sleds, and you name it, we've got it. And that's after every session of Thrifties. And each tub and every item has to be loaded into a vehicle, transported and unloaded at the storage unit at Kerry Tire. Then at the appropriate time, they must be loaded into a vehicle, transported back to Thrifties and unloaded there for display. At any given time, we have 200 plus tubs of clothing, as well as all of those other items in storage. And that's both time-consuming and labor-intensive, especially for our volunteers. And there are about 25 of them, and I guess I dare say that their average age would be over 70. And having said that, they all work like they are about 30, and I keep telling them that it's a free fitness program. But somehow, I think that's wearing thin. And we have to try to come up with a solution that will ease that workload. So tonight we have a dream. And that dream is a storage unit at the back of Thrifties that would eliminate much of that work. We are requesting permission to place behind the thrift store a building which would serve as our storage unit. We are also requesting permission to install a door on the back wall of Thrifties that would be parallel to a door in the storage unit. This would allow easy access to transfer the tubs on a dolly and roll them to the storage unit, making them readily available and also eliminating much of the work involved in transporting them to another site. We would like to build the unit 10 feet wide and the same length as the current building. As much as is possible, the structure would be in keeping with the design of that building. That's our dream. Thank you for listening, and we will try to answer any questions that you might have.
So it's going to be on the back of the building.
Yes.
It's going to be 10 feet wide and run the width of the building.
Yes.
So you're going to be quite close to the well.
It would run, yes, very close. That back wall towards the water would be almost, it would almost run into it, yes. So it would be, that's actually
Well-
quite good because we could put a barrier right there.
The well is on Dr. Ross.
I can't.
Yes, it is. I know it is. The fence got put there wrong when it was put there. Biff Gary had it put there. So you're going to be onto her property.
That is not the building, would you like?
You have to be 10 feet from her property line.
Agreed. Would you like to see this?
I have a picture of it in my mind. I run into that well.
Literally,
At
Mr.
the end of
Mayor?
the building.
With a backup camera and all that.
Yeah, yes, that's what I was saying, literally, yeah.
So you're saying that the,
The well is on Roz's property. So if you put a building there that is 10 feet wide, you're going to be closer than 10 feet to the property line.
How much property do we have, and do we have enough property to put an addition on? Even if it took another,
we would have to make it, instead of it being 30 feet, it could only be 28 feet.
Well, her property runs, digs in the well and runs right over. The fence is in the wrong place.
The property marker is not parallel to that well. There is a property marker there in the corner towards the ball field.
All I know is she tells me the well's on her.
I'm just saying there is a property marker.
I think it would be a good plan if somebody, if we went and we had a look at to see what's happening.
Another question, Mr. Mayor, along the line. As far as, I served on the PAC, was the advisory, when you probably remember, Mr. Mayor, about 10 years ago or so. Variance can be given, but it's like I said, it's very important that we have it on, certainly on our property, per se. My question is, nothing lasts forever. You know, you guys, girls particularly, do incredibly good work. So what would happen to said building when this operation comes to an end? Is it going to be moved? And the well, once again, comes into a concern from there? Or is it going to be ceded back to the village? I mean, this is, as I often tell people, just because someone's asking questions doesn't mean they're necessarily for or against something, but there are questions that have to be answered just the very same, so.
And that could be a discussion. It
Sure.
could, certainly, we would move it, or if it became a benefit to the village and wanted to keep it there, that's possible too.
And it's something that has to be
Discuss.
answered.
Yes.
So, and as the mayor said, we certainly don't want anything, you know, when you're moving things, sometimes it's a big process, you don't want to put anybody's well into endangerment per se. So.
When the well was drilled, they thought it was on village property, but it was not.
Mr. Mayor, I think it's a good idea. I think they do a great business, and I think that what we need to do is just sit down and find out the lines, the
Yes.
property lines. Probably consult the adjacent owner
Yes.
and see if we can't come up with something. I'm interested to know, Society, what did you think that you made last year and put it back into the villages to helping people out? And in terms of monetary dollars, would you have put 5,000 back into the village, 10,000 back into the help the village? Or are you looking at something like maybe $40,000 that you helped out with?
Thrifty's brought in almost $40,000 last year.
Yes, sir.
Of which, we have to pay the rent to Kerry Tire for the
Right.
storage unit.
Right.
Sure.
We had to fix the well, the pump, and a few things at the well at Thrifty's itself, which
Yeah.
probably cost us $2,000, no more.
Yes.
Other than that, it has gone all back into the village.
Yes, that's great, I think that's great. Busy area. I can't see it dying out soon either, I think it's,
No,
well,
and
I could be there for quite a while, so
I agree with you, Council. I think all of us do, Councilor Cheney, on the table, but however, like you said, nothing is, other than beer boots, nothing is lasted forever, so.
my point is, I think we should work with Action Ministries and see if we can come up with a plan to allow this expansion to happen
Sure.
and keep the neighbors happy and the well protected and give them an easier operation.
at this point, if we have your approval, Andrew Jones teaches carpentry every other year at the school, and he is willing to build this building, the carpentry class, for us
Okay.
to put up there.
So it's even more of a community effort.
Yes.
But I think we should get together and
Yes.
and discuss all these little details that the mayor brought up, that we don't want them to bite us as we go forward.
For Councilor Cheney, are you thinking, find some more information and table it for next month, you thinking, or don't find it first?
Well, I think that maybe we could make it to approve in principle, depending on how the details are worked out. If the details aren't compatible with everything, and I don't think we should stop right here. How you move forward, I'll leave it up to administration to determine.
So we're back to, are you gonna make a motion to table this for a month?
Okay, I'll make a motion to table it for a month, but only this if we enter into meetings with Action Ministries in the meantime.
So whatever it is, it has to come back to council, so it has to be a month.
Would that put you out? You're not gonna build for 2 years, or the next year for Andrew Jones.
September.
He could start in September?
Yes, it's only like this September, and then it will be in 2 years after that. For this particular project, he's saying that Action Ministries, if we are approved, then he would put that at the top of the list for the carpentry course that runs September,
This coming September?
this coming September.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we table this item for a month to gather relevant information and work out the details.
You heard the motion by Councillor Sturgeon, do we have a seconder?
I'd second that.
Seconded by Councillor Cheney. Question? No question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. So I had 10-2 as the planning advisory. Village of Gravendale bylaw, planning advisory committee bylaw.
The contract was signed with Southwest on Friday past. We need the bylaw in motion to identify the building inspector and the development officers for Ramadan, and a motion to adopt the fees listed in Southwest Commission website. And they're prepared to go to work tomorrow.
So we must read this in its entirety, I assume, Rob?
The first two, I think.
Including the fees and such like that?
No, just, what's on the first reading?
On the second page of the fees, there's a motion.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Everybody's looking at you, Deputy Mayor.
This one's yours.
This one's not for me. I'm not making a motion.
Is anybody gonna make the motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion, but I noticed this here, it's for a one-year term, so this is a
It's
trial.
till the end of the year.
Yeah.
At the end of this
Yeah.
calendar year?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you fellows last,
That's what I understood from I wasn't here, but I wanted some clarification after.
Yeah.
And so it just,
the contract runs out 31st of December.
okay.
Well, if this is dated today,
Yeah.
the end of the motion
Goes till,
stipulates for a one-year term. It would run until 1 year from today.
yeah. That's
If
what my
it's done as written.
My understanding from the meeting with them, it ends December 31st.
So we could have it December 31st, 2018
Yeah.
in the motion? You have anything in the motion, I suppose, so.
Yeah, it would-
Okay. Well, I'll move. Be resolved, the Village of Grand Manan Council appoint Alex Henderson, Don Leachman, and Judy Hertford as development officers for the Village of Grand Manan.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor, that's the second motion. The first one is
Oh.
to,
Okay. Is it?
Yeah, you gotta have your
village bylaw.
village bylaw, zoning advisory.
Okay. So I'll read the first page first then? Okay, thank you. Thanks for the clarification, Deputy Mayor. I make a motion that the council of the Village of Grand Manan, Brunswick, under authority vested in by section 117, bracket 1, bracket A of the Community Planning Act, bracket C-19, and acts as follows. The Village of Grand Manan Planning Advisory Committee bylaw number 16-98 dated September 1998 is hereby repealed. And 2, the repeal of said bylaw shall not affect any penalty, forfeiture, or liability incurred before such repeal or any proceeding for enforcing the same completed or pending at the time of repeal, nor shall it repeal or disturb, invalidate, or prejudicially affect any matter or thing whatsoever completed, existing, or pending at the time of repeal. Okay?
Read first time in its
Read
entirety.
for the first time its entirety and by its title, July 1st, July 9th, 2018.
And read the second time by title only.
And read second time by title only, July 19th, 2018. I thought they had to be done separately, so that's the title. Anything else, or is that, am I done for now?
does that not require a seconder?
It does.
So you heard the motion by Councillor Sec, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Brown. Question?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. If we are truly doing this for a 6-month or 1-year term, would it not be more prudent to suspend the actions of the Planning Advisory Committee for that length of time, should we decide not to continue after the 6 months with these people?
I think we should be optimistic and saying, okay, it's gonna happen. Instead of being a pessimist and saying, yes, let it
I'm
fail.
not being a pessimist, Mr. Mayor, I'm trying not to back us into a corner that we can't get out of in 6 months.
Well, we won't be backed into any corner, because we're getting out of it in 6 months if it's not working.
Well, I just want to be very clear, if I'm not happy with the results, I won't be supporting it in 6 months either. But I'd like for us to give it a try,
Yeah.
I guess. So,
Any other questions? All those in favor? Opposed?
Nay.
One nay. So, okay, the next.
so go on to the second page, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. I move, be it resolved, the Village of Grand Manan Council appoint Alex Henderson, Don Leachman, and Judy Hertford as development officers for the Village of Grand Manan Borough that will expire on December the 31st of 2018.
You heard the motion by Councillor Sturgeon, do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Brown. Question? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. So now the second motion on that.
Mr. Mayor, be it resolved, the Village of Grand Manan Council appoint Don Leachman and Michael Hall as building inspectors for the Village of Grand Manan for to expire on December 31st of 2018.
You heard the motion by Councillor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Brown. Question? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. I had to talk with one carpenter on Saturday, contractor I should say, and told him roughly that this is what was happening, it's coming in. There will be a mail out, go out to houses tomorrow. But what the process is, and this guy said to me, it's more time. You've got something there, go with it. I think it's going to make things a lot better. And it was explained to us that if the building inspector has to have 48 hours notice, if he can't make it in that time, take some pictures, and you can progress with your work. So there shouldn't be any holdups in it.
Mr. Mayor, I was at the dinner meeting at that, and I'll be the first to admit, I have some reservations about this. But upon meeting, that was one of the questions that we've actually brought up, sometimes because of various situations, because of weather and such like that, who can't show up. We don't need any delay.
No.
And that's one of the things he had brought up was with the picture thing. And because, we do live in the 21st century now. My impression was at the time, maybe I'll be proven to be wrong, but my impression was at the time, they were willing to be flexible and reasonable at the time, so. Anyway, but we will see
Well, I think
how it works, so.
But last Friday when they were in, it was just 6 months. It was just the time frame that it would be there at the end of the year. And we have, I'm not going to name the people, but we have people right now that's building buildings without building permits. If we have something like this, it's going to stop. And it's going to be put in the right place on property. I know of 2 buildings that's gone up, it's too close to the property line. So this will be, so it's a great chance. 6 months is a great time to find out. So, anyway, next one.
Fee schedule? Okay.
We'll have to read it out, that motion on the back.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I move that we set the Southwest New Brunswick Regional Service Commission fee schedule for non-incorporated areas as given.
So you heard the motion by Councillor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Brown. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. There will be an increase in the, for the building permit. Not too much.
Oh, yeah, it's,
Actually, it's not as much as what I was here.
$100,000 worth of construction would be $500.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's very fair.
Average of what, 50 cents square yard or something?
So, okay,
And
now,
those fees come directly back to the village, Mr. Mayor?
yes, to pay for the services that they do.
Yes.
So, okay, the next one is for a comedy night at Gramman High School, community school, it said high school, I guess is what it says here. So, for you people out there, I'll read it. It says, I, Corey Stevens, would like to hold a special event on Gramman Island Thursday, August the 30th. I am requesting the council's backing for a special events liquor license for this opportunity. I need to apply 45 days before the event, which is the end of this week. I would have requested sooner, but this has just fallen on my lap. With luck, we can make this an annual or a semi-annual event. I have been fortunate enough to become good friends with a renowned comedian who tours the Yuck Yucks Comedy Club circuit. He is from Newfoundland and will be on tour again at the end of August. When discussing the possibility of doing a show on Gramman, he was more than delighted. So on August the 30th, 2018 at 8 p.m., I'd like to hold a comedy night on Gramman. The show will be approximately 2 hours long. Doors open 90 minutes prior to the show at 6:30 till 10 p.m. There will be 3 comedians in total, all of whom tour Yuck Yuck around the country. One has performed internationally, one is an award-winning comedian. I wish to hold the event at the Gramman High School. I have already been in contact with Sally Cogswell, who has reached out to the school board regarding my request. The school board is fine with the event, but I need to have a liquor license and then submit the details to the superintendent for my final stamp of approval. The school is the best venue for this event with a stage and an audio all ready to go. It also has the capacity to hold a few hundred people and the needed parking, and I expect that much or more. The school is available, it's not during the school year, and no one under the age of 19 is admitted. So my only holdup is a liquor license. I have done events before, and I currently run a tight ship on the Island Softball League, which has been the most successful it has ever been in years. I would appreciate the council's backing on this and bring something truly unique to the island. Kindly, Corey Stevens.
So he's looking for a letter of support, Mr. Mayor?
That's what I would say.
Is a letter of support needed from the village?
Pardon me?
This is
The
what
province need it. We do it for the summer festival up at North Head. And that's about the only one. The reason I wanted to get it to you people here is company or village policy that in this complex you cannot give an occasional permit. For what, that's the policy. On the other side, we don't run the schoolhouse. And if they say it's okay, then is that all right or not with council? I guess that's the question.
Well, we have a curling club, they have a license.
But they didn't have to have the village's approval.
Right, I don't understand.
So up at the curling club, there's bingo that night, and they're not willing to give it up.
Let's meet them.
So, and
I'll
this,
disagree with the tight ship on softball. I've seen him at a softball game, and it wasn't a very tight ship. He was the umpire, and he couldn't even see the ball to call the balls and strikes.
Well, I don't know who Corey Stevens is, but I didn't know if it's this Island Softball League or Prince Edward Island Softball League.
It's here.
Okay. Not familiar with the league. So the responsibility, if anything goes awry, is with the superintendent of the schools. The policing, the security, whatever's
no, no.
required has nothing to do with the village.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Kind of wish we had more in council to discuss it.
Excuse me, I'm in total support of the event. but I'm afraid I'm not at the venue. We're trying to present our school to the school population as a safe place as much as possible. There are other venues, outdoors, curl and drink. I can't make a motion for this.
Neither can I, Mr. Mayor.
Want to make a motion against it?
But there's no motion, I understand, if there's no motion for it, then it is automatically against.
No, he has to apply to the NB Liquor. And, I mean, with our support, it would make that application smoother. But without our support, I'm not sure that it would turn it down. But I don't want to be the one to say, yeah, we'll have an open event in the high school.
I feel that there's other venues. I agree, I think it would be great to have on the island, but I just don't feel that the school's the proper place for it.
So we've got to reply to this man. So it looks to me like no.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion that staff send a letter stating that we are in support of the event. We'd like to see it happen, but we will not support the school as a venue.
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Moses. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilor Worthing. Question? All those in favor?
All right,
Opposed? Motion carried. Committee reports. Recreation Director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A quick report tonight. All emphasis this month has been on 3 major projects. So before I start, I would like to take the opportunity to thank everybody that was involved with Canada Day this year. Like the mayor and his workman remarks commented, it was a great time. A lot of kids on the beach. I think the beach events are very well attended. I asked one of the Ingalls boys the day after the Greasy Pole if anyone has any idea how long Junior and his boys have been doing that. I haven't been able to find out. I bet it would surprise you. It's been a long time. I know as a child growing up in Steel Cove, just 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, he was doing it, and he's still doing it. So it's great to see that they're involved. Huge crowd. I know the office staff, Esme and Alyssa, done a lot of work throwing it together, delivering everything. We reached out this year to the BC Exchange group from the school. They were going around doing some fundraising, trying to raise some money. We thought it was a perfect opportunity. It's a win-win for us. We didn't have to stand there and yell and scream at kids. It was a little bit of a fundraiser for them, so it worked out well. So again, thanks to everybody who was involved. The pool is open again for another year. We tentatively put on paper Canada Day was going to be the opening day, as it usually is. As most of you knew, we missed that mark. Upon the initial fill, in about a span of about 10 hours, we lost 16,000 gallons. So it leaked, and it leaked bad. So we went back to the drawing board, went over it again with a fine-tooth comb, had a few more spots, more cement, more 5200, more paint, filled it back up, and so far it is manageable. Still leaking, but manageable. So hopefully we'll get the summer out of it as usual. That was one challenge. One of the second challenges was the recent changes to the Life Saving Society with as far as what lifeguards were required for certifications for a community pool had changed, which left us with no lifeguards being properly certified. So we had to scramble last minute. We reached out to our neighbors in St. Stephen. I got a hold of my counterpart there. They literally bent over backwards to throw together courses for 2 of our lifeguards to upgrade their first aid, as well as get to national certifications, which is the highest level a lifeguard can get. So we now have 2 of those on staff. Well, one right now, one flying back from Costa Rica, I think, as we speak, but it's all good. So thanks to St. Stephen for helping us out. Without them, it was going to be tight. So, other than that, the North Head and Castalia ball fields are up and running. I'm not sure how long it's been for North Head. It's been longer than Castalia, but we currently have 15 teams in 7 different groups, using all 3 diamonds 6 out of the 7 days a week. I will agree with the letter from Mr. Stevens that he's doing a fantastic job organizing the softball league. It's just great to see that many adults out and using the field. Without that type of organization, it wouldn't have happened. So that was the end of my report. Any questions?
When's the last time that the ball diamond's got this much activity, Mr. Rayner?
When I was doing Little League, my boys were of age. 6 years ago, we had 4 Little League teams, 2 Pony League teams, and a provincial team. So that's 7 back then. Now I know growing up in Silcova again, I think every village used to have a female softball team. So I'm not sure when the last time we had that many softball to go with the kids with the Little League.
So this is a real uptick.
It certainly is. It's been a bit of a challenge to try to coordinate with staff, summer students, but anyway, it's good to see it being used.
Recreation Director Rayner, I was away to Atlantic Nationals, and 2 of the 3 days it's hosted in Centennial Park. Part of the funding that is raised, it all goes to charity. And one of the things that was bought over the past year was a rubber floor for the tube slide that was there. And it's like walking on a big elastic. It's very soft, but still it's like a flooring, kind of thing, and it's all solid. So is that sort of what we were initially talking about for Castalia ball diamond, or was it more of a rubber pebble that we're?
It's rubber mulch.
Not ball diamond, but the playground.
The playground.
Yeah.
Rubber mulch is basically the same size as the pea gravel that is there,
Yeah.
except it's just small pieces of rubber instead of stone.
Okay, very good.
It's actually sheets of rubber that come right from the Michelin plant in Detroit. They
Yes.
run it through the ground. They used to use tires.
Yes.
Apparently there was issues with removing all the steel belt.
Yes.
Even though they used to run it out of metal detectors and all that, they still couldn't be 100% sure that they got it.
Sure.
So we're still waiting on that. There's been some discussion between Bill at the transfer station and his counterparts that have the plant. So as soon as that comes in, the plan is to take that pea gravel out of Castalia, use that in one of the locations that we've got that needs it in the harbor, and put the rubber mulch down.
Okay, thank you.
It's not so much a question, but more of a comment. Personally, I really enjoy seeing the Castalia ball diamond being used. I know there's some size challenges, but it's good to see it going.
I agree.
Any other questions for Chris? Thank you. Twelve is approval to pay the following invoices out of the general operating fund. Home Hardware, Canada Day Pool, $3,659.30. Service Master Complex Floors, $10,414.56. L.E. Whitaker Fire Department Compressors, $2,106.11. And Service Master was doing their yearly thing. They were here for over a week. And they done a great job, and Howard does a great follow-up on them. So we had a motion to pay those bills.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we pay the aforementioned invoices out of the general operating fund.
You heard the motion by Councillor Cheney. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
seconded by Deputy Mayor Moses. Question?
So that's the $10,000 for the floors, that's going to be an annual every time, or?
Pretty well, I mean, that was the gym this year, you won't do that next year. And then over on Cindy's area, there's some work that be done there next year type of thing, so. Yeah, that should be built into the budget.
Yes. So is that stripping it down and building it back, or?
Yeah, it brings, yeah.
Okay.
If you were in this building, the amount of people that come through that at this time of year, they're strangers from away. They're blown away. Just go in and look at the gym, look at that. Look down the hallway, whatever. Why can't we have that at home? It's just unbelievable. And they just wander around, just look at how the public uses the building. It's well maintained.
Yes, we'll soon have to issue sunglasses. The Western Light.
Yeah.
That looks good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then we have to go into closed session for property or request to acquire land.
I'll make a motion to that effect, Mr. Mayor.
Heard the motion by Councilor Sturgeon for closed session. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Moses. Question? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Session to discuss a request to require some village property.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that council deny the request to acquire that land. I don't believe it's in the village's interest right now.
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Moses. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilor Sturgeon. Question? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. The next regular council meeting is here at the Grand Manan Community Center on Monday, August the 13th, 2018, 7:30 p.m. And our camera lady tonight is Cindy, and she's volunteered her time to be here, so thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Mayor.
Do we have a seconder?
I shall second it.
Moved by Councilor Sturgeon, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moses. Good night. And thanks for your other help.